standing up here in front of this community of superheroes, as Hector put it, I can't help but think of where I started, what I've accomplished, and how life might have been different if not for Upward Bound. Similar to many of the students that you all help, my life got off to a little bit of a rough start. When I was about 7 years old, I ended up homeless with my mother and my 2 younger brothers. I called it the floor-to-floor relocation plan. Eventually, we ended up in public housing in a pretty tough neighborhood that was full of violence, drugs, poverty, and hunger, but short on hope. It was a step up from homelessness for sure, but not exactly an inspirational environment with ample opportunity. There simply was no vision for any of us for what a better life might even look like. We could only see what was right in front of us, which was life in that neighborhood. In my peer group at the time, the thing to do to fit in and feel included was to pretend to not care. What was the point anyway? Most people were multi-generation residents of public housing, and the expectation of us was that we weren't going anywhere. I was wasting potential because I had nothing to strive for. What I got out of Upward Bound was so much more than my expectations going in. I remember the first time I ever stepped on a college campus was when I went to the University of New Hampshire for the summer program. And it truly was a whole new world. It gave me an insight or epiphany that there was a broader world out there for me, one where I could be successful and have things I never thought I could have, like a car, a house, a good-paying job. Maybe I didn't have to live in public housing. All I had to do was what led me to Upward Bound in the first place. I needed to start taking advantage of educational opportunities. I rocked that first summer, if I do say so myself. And the next one. I learned so many new things academically and socially. I took a flamenco dancing class. For real. I met so many amazing people. 2 of them ended up being groomsmen in my wedding. We drew hope and inspiration from each other and from the staff. And we used that momentum when we went back to school. Success, built on success. A great summer led to academic success during the school year. And I remember getting recommended into the school's honor curriculum, which led to having great opportunities at schools I never would have dreamed of. And I found out my senior year that I had been accepted to the United States Military Academy at West Point, in addition to several other great schools. I couldn't have been prouder, happier, and I finally saw a path to moving up in life and being successful. 5 days after my acceptance letter from West Point came, my mother died of an overdose. I remember every detail of that morning. Knocking on the door when she wasn't up, and then going in trying to wake her up. Realizing what was going on and sending my 2 younger brothers to school. Trying CPR until the medics got there. Trying to piece together everything that had just happened out of this chaos that just descended on us. I was responsible for my 2 younger brothers, but as a cadet, you cannot have dependents. I had a choice to make. Go to West Point, and my brothers would move across the state to family we weren't really close with, or forego college and become my brother's legal guardian. I talked to a lot of people, friends and their families, my track coach and teachers, and I talked to Dan Gordon. They helped me get to a great decision, the right decision, which was to go to school and get myself to a place where I could ultimately, truly help my brothers. I had learned an all-important lesson that educational opportunities are the key to future success. My brothers moved away, and I kept on, graduating from high school, 12th in my class, and going off to West Point. A little bit into my first summer at West Point, tragedy struck again. I broke my foot badly and was medically discharged. I remember sitting across from the Army surgeon with the x-rays between us and him telling me I could not continue there. Everything I had worked so hard for had suddenly fallen apart again. And again, I turned to the people I trusted most and another educational opportunity became available, enrolling at the University of New Hampshire. I committed to my studies and worked my way into the business school. As I learned from my UB experience, I worked hard, I took advantage of opportunities, and I built momentum. I graduated 5th in my class at the business school and got competitive offers from great companies. Having a secure job allowed me to finally have the financial means to buy the first house I ever lived in. I never thought this life would have been possible, that I'd be standing up here tonight. And sometimes I still wonder how it is that all this has happened to a kid like me from where I started. And every time I start reminiscing about where I came from and try to determine what was different about my path from so many that I grew up with who are now dead, in jail, or tenants in the same places that they grew up, it comes down to 2 things. Number 1, the educational opportunities I have been afforded and taken advantage of. Thank you, Trio. And number 2, the amazing people in my life that have inspired me to be more than I ever thought possible. People like all of you who create opportunities that positively impact others' circumstances and outcomes and create miraculous ripple effects that change lives. That is what you do.